Today, we're going to be working on this VG so we can get it cleaned up and sealed the rest of the way up so we can get it ready to go back in the Z. Basically, we just did some valve cover gaskets on this. We did a little video on how to do that, and we also are doing a manual swap. So I got to do this so I can get on to part 2 of the manual swap. So we painted these up, all freshly sealed with Nissan RTV, but now we actually have to clean all the nooks and crannies, delete this EGR, reseal these pipes, reinstall our PCV system, and well, we already replaced one O2 sensor, but we're gonna replace this one over here as well with this Bosch O2, as well as these brand new 2 motor mounts, because these ones are cooked. We've also got to pull the oil pan off to reseal it, so we're gonna have to flip this thing upside down and check out the bottom end. Can't remember if I said, but we got to do a knock sensor in here as well. But we got to clean out the mouse nest. Enough of the talking, let's get started. I think we're just going to start off by pulling some brackets and accessories like the motor mounts, the brackets, alternator, wiring. We may do the manifolds. If not, we'll just do one so we can actually flip the engine upside down. I don't know, we may just pull them both and do both the gaskets while we're in here. That stinking phrase, man, while we're in here. Get you every time when you own these Z's. You know, why don't I start with the easy stuff? There we go. Holy cow. It is always kind of a scare for me if you're pulling out the threads in this little adapter. But thankfully, these come with a little bit of anti-seize out the box, so we don't have to worry about it. Especially with that anti-seize, shouldn't have any issues getting this thing out. So now we can pull this up and O2 sensors are done. Since I can't get this out with a wrench, I think my only option is to remove the solenoid, bend it to the point that we can break this pipe and put a socket on it. I guess the easier way would probably be to cut it with a cutting wheel. I don't know why I don't want to hook the cutting wheel up and have to smell iron for the rest of the day. Now we gotta manhandle this thing because this pipe is pretty thick. Oh yeah. Leaking more oil. This EGR is just full of it. Junk. I had to guess it might be a 22. Oh, right on the money. Now, since I'm not messing around here, let's try out the impact. May not be the best idea. Woo-wee, that dude is hot. Let's grab our EGR delete plug. With the Concept Z Performance Kit, let's just thread this plug in. You can put a little anti-seize on it just to help it out for next time, which I guess we're gonna do that. A little bit of goop. I'm pretty sure this takes a 10mm Allen key. Yep, right on the money. I'll just snug that in there. I'm not really going for any kind of torque spec. I'm just tightening it into the manifold. Now that that's blocked off, let's remove some brackets. Dang, these things are so junk that they're actually glued to the motor mount themselves. Never seen that happen. And if you ever do delete your AC and your EGR, like as in you remove this bracket completely, this bracket's probably like a 1/2 inch thick or maybe 5/8 of an inch. So when you remove this 12mm, it is actually securing your oil pump to the block. You can take one of the 12mm from your EGR solenoid and put it in there to tighten your oil pump to the block. And now the GoPro's getting hot, so let's pull this off, all these brackets, and get it ready to clean up. So now we got pretty much everything all off, with the exception of this manifold. So we did kind of take the time to go ahead and clean some of this head. If you look over here on the driver's side, a little oily, crusty, dirty, nasty. This side is much, much cleaner. Obviously we got to do underneath, but we're going to prep the block as well, hit it with a wire brush so we can kind of knock any of the rust off, and then we can recoat that and give it a nice new finish. I guess we'll just clean up these surfaces a little bit before we move on. When we flip this over, all the debris is going to fall out of these ports. Doesn't need to be perfect, we're just knocking it off. And we'll just go ahead and give it its final finish. so we don't have to do it when it comes to putting everything back together. And that oil is very gassy. It's kind of like brown. I think it's got too much fuel in it, so we're probably and definitely going to have to replace these lower seals and check those injectors. I want to see how possible it is to get this oil filter off. I know people like to put them on here with, oh my goodness, that is tight. So since we have limited tools, and these are the biggest our channel locks will get, we actually just hammered down on this filter, flatten out the sides, so we can actually get this on to get a grip, and we're getting it. I would like to think we could get it with our hands, but it still feels so stinking tight. Holy cow, they really did yoink this thing on there. How many foot-pounds? All of them. I'm gonna hope that's all fuel and that it's not like 5W20, because this oil is so thin. Guess that means the oil tree is good to come off. I'll just tap this with a hammer to loosen it up. Before we go to flip the engine over to do the oil pan, we've got a ratcheting 12 mil on our knock sensor back here because the wiring harness has been broken and ripped out, so there's no harness in the way. The only issue I'm having is this thing is so stuck and tight. But I have a method to get this off. So you can grab like this $5 pry bar from Harbor Freight, or you get the 4-pack for 10 bucks. We're actually gonna find something that we can pry against here while putting this inside the ratchet. It appears we're actually gonna have to put this bracket to give us the clearance that we're gonna need to use this method. Pull this 10 mil. Make sure we just cracked it loose. Let's see. If not, I broke my ratcheting wrench. Yep. Sure enough, we got it loose. Now for the fun game of sticking your fingers down in the mouse nest and using these two fingers or these two fingers to rotate the bolt as far as you can reach. Not fun. And keep in mind that you're gonna have to do the same thing to get the bolt started back in. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, my brain just had a fart and I started twisting it, tightening it. What is wrong with me? My hand is cramping so bad right now. And there is our gross, old, dirty, nasty knock sensor. And now for the fun part. Well dang, that was surprisingly easy for you guys. Now we can flip the engine over. Let's get to pulling this oil pan off. I'm glad I didn't record that because when I flipped it over, I forgot that I didn't put my oil pan down to catch all the coolant, and I made an absolute mess, so that wasn't fun. Been cleaning that up for about 10 minutes. There is one thing that we do need to do, and that's to pull the oil dipstick, because the oil dipstick goes down into the pan. Not that it entirely matters, but we're going to pull it because you don't want this in the way when you go to put it back, so it's good to just remove it ahead of time. Go ahead and thank me later. I hope you guys could hear that. Few things that I don't like. I mean, we'll just check into this first. The seal still seems somewhat pliable. Usually they're rock hard. Don't know if that's been changed, but if it has, they didn't do it right because it's been leaking. I love those little snakes. I'm just gonna check each of these rods for back and forth play. They will have side to side play so they can travel on the journal. But you want to push it back and forth to see if there's any gap in between the actual rod bearing and the journal. If there is and it knocks, well, you're in for some work because you may get away with a bearing slap. I don't think that I would ever really do that. It's just putting a band-aid on the situation. There's probably a reason it wore out, so definitely want to check into that. We're just going to clean up all of this, remove these seals, get all this grime cleaned up, basically so we can install the oil pan with a fresh new seal. Not using this stuff, we'll use that Nissan RTV. The one thing I was not happy about over here is if you look in this oil pan, I'm gonna have to assume this is from a lot of fuel. There's no evidence of any bad head gasket, but there is a ton of crud down in this pan, as you can see there. Yeah, I just don't understand, because why would you want foreign objects in your oil pan? I guess one thing we do need to check, I don't see anything in the pickup, so that's good. There's just a little bit sitting on it right there. Which, what even is that? It's like hard. Let's give it the old one time. Let's get it cleaned up, because I really hate doing this, as you guys know if you've been stacking along on the channel. This, valve covers, and exhaust are like my 3 kryptonites. So let's bust this out. Let's get it ready to go back on, because the heat is already starting to crank up today, and I think it's like 11 o'clock. So we've got everything cleaned up now. Everything's free of debris and oil. Cleaned up as good as we could get it. And our oil pan actually has a bead on it over here. That means we can grab our oil seals. We're gonna put a dab of RTV on each of these flat spots here in each of these corners. Even though I already made a mess on myself, let's try not to make more of a mess. Squeeze it and squish all that RTV down in that corner. Leave no spot unsiliconed. Let's grab our pan. Have your dipstick out, because if you don't, good luck, Charlie. So now we're basically just gonna keep it aligned, the bolt holes, after we get our sump in, our pickup. Once you keep it lined up, lay it on and give her a little squish. Don't go too crazy. Make sure you get your bolts in before you squish and fill up all your bolt bosses or the holes with actual silicone. We did go through and clean up all of our hardware, wire brushed it, and brake cleaned it. Let's tighten this all down and get it where we can flip this thing back over. Now that the bead is squished and we got it spread out just to kind of make it look a little bit better, even though it still pretty much looks crappy like that. I think it looks better than having that squish bead that just sticks out and is all round and sometimes like spits out from where it sets up and it spits out in between those areas. I'm actually gonna wait an hour before I flip it over. I wanna make sure the RTV can cure and set up enough that the oil that is accumulated in the pistons and pretty much anywhere up here in the block, when I flip it over, it doesn't immediately start leaking and ruining that bond. We're gonna go ahead and pull these injectors out. I went ahead and cleaned up all the brackets to the rest of the motor so we can have a better time, you know, putting everything back together. And I noticed something when I was checking over these fuel injectors. Because basically I wanted to check to see if there's any pinched O-rings, because I'm confused why the oil looks like it's diluted with fuel so much. Check this out. So this is an old style fuel rail with an adapter kit, but someone has used actual new style caps instead of the adapter kit caps, and it doesn't sit flush. If you look here, the top of this, there's no way it's gonna actually go down into the fuel rail. But with these, there's no way or no relief built into this cap to allow it to actually seat along this. Because right now it's looking like they've mixed matched adapter kits. Like it's looking like we've got CZP lower cups with Z1 hardware, but OEM caps. I don't know, something's not right. But these, it's trimmed out on the edge, and then you have the shoulder here to make up that difference. So this will just directly sit on, and this will actually touch the fuel rail. Removing new style injectors can be tricky. I just like to pop it out enough that I can get a flat head under it, and then pry back and forth while pushing the pintle, pop it out. So the injector basket came off, not a big deal, just make sure you fish it out and pop it back on, because this actually holds this upper O-ring in place. So this is weird. The pintle cap here is not even across the board. It's cut crooked. Now while that might not be a direct issue, it doesn't make me feel good about the injector itself. A little sus, whatever, let's just keep pulling these out. Unfortunately, I forgot to press play, but if you look at this, something is not right. Yeah, that lower O-ring is completely smoked. Split all the way around and shedding in 3 different spots. It's funny because I completely forgot to check the rest. Usually these things pop out with the rest. It's starting to look like someone did not use the correct stuff here, because why is this O-ring blasted and split too? Let's pull the rest of these out and see what other kind of surprises we got. So we've decided we're going to order 5 new pintle caps. I'm going to order a brand new injector adapter kit so we can get everything fully seated and functioning. Don't want to have any issues down the road, because this completely tells me why this oil was so thin when we went to take it out. Thankfully our seals down here are all brand new. So we're just going to get new O-rings for the injectors themselves, because we did notice that the lower O-ring is actually way bigger than it should be. Definitely should not be that big. This is more like it. Even that lower O-ring looks much smaller in comparison. So basically we'll re-O-ring these, make them all nice and fresh. We're going to ohm test them all to make sure that they all work. But obviously we can't do that this video, because we have to put everything else on, because this is kind of one of the last things that we can do. Now, as you may tell, we've got a motor mount on and our bracket over here. We pretty much just did that so we could get this side wrapped up, with the exception of this AC bracket. Now this thing was a pain in the butt to clean. It's just been dirty for too long or something. It was not wanting to cooperate. A lot of the grime is like caked into the casting. Like I was even trying to clean it on the back here and I was just having no success. So this part right here on the front should technically be all that's seen. That looks good enough to me. Let's install this gusset plate. At least get it tightened enough where we can tighten it to its final position after the oil tree is in place. We've got this snazzy gasket to go in between the oil filter housing. So we're going to clean it up of any debris and whatnot. Probably give it a gentle wire brush just to clean up any bit of the surface. And if you do this, just make sure that you don't get anything down here that's going to be in your feed hole. We're actually going to put a little RTV over on the tree side, because this gasket was hard as a rock because it's never been changed, so it's a little grooved from having to wire wheel it. Just going to put a thin coat on that just to fill all the gaps around the circle portion, and then we can put it on. I had this happen a few times and this is the way I've gotten around it, because basically both of those housings are machine flat, so they're flat and can just use a paper gasket. Like if you had to brush down your lower intake, you're not just going to throw this on and leave it. You're going to put a little bit of RTV to fill that difference. It's too hot today. Like I said, just smear it a little bit. We're not trying to put a thick bead on it. Now we're going to try to line up how this actually goes, because there's like 3 ways that it looks like it does, but it actually doesn't, and you don't want to find out the hard way. Alright, I think that's it. We'll just stick that to that, and we'll wipe the inside out of any excess just to make sure it doesn't build up and leave like a bead on the inside. Sweet. Sadly, all this stuff was pretty rusty, like the hardware, so it didn't clean up as like nice as I'd want, but it's clean, at least in comparison. Gasket manifold. We took the courtesy to throw on the alternator, mount it up, as well as the alternator bracket. We got this engine mount bracket, and we got our harness all routed up, zip tied to this thing. Just got it all tucked where it needs to go, so we can put this brand new motor mount on. Then we got this bracket we're going to put on top, because thankfully we still have it. A lot of the times it's actually missing, so you may actually not have one, especially if someone's ever been in here before. Oh, holy cow, I completely forgot about this bracket. Oh, it's because it's over there. I had everything else over here. Way to go, Caden. Honestly, maybe we got some oil to put in it somewhere. I mean, I know we're good for that, so we can put it in and make sure that we have it. We don't forget, because, you know, stuff happens. Speaking of, let's grab us an oil filter. Well, I actually could not find one, so we're going to put this one back on. I'm just kidding. You guys didn't really think I was going to do that, did you? Surely not. Usually I use a OEM filter. Fortunately, I'm out. But I do have this K&N filter. I definitely say I'd probably have to trust K&N generally, because it does look like a real filter in there. Not none of that Fram bull crap where it's like a cardboard filter. Nope, I have never pre-filled any of my oil filters, ever. Not a single time. Actually, I may have once. I take that back. I can't lie to you guys. Maybe one time, just because, and never had an issue. And don't put that thing on too tight. Let's be real, hand tight. You want to be able to get it back off. So now that the gaskets are replaced, we got everything all cleaned up. Honestly, you can touch it and not get crazy dirty. Obviously, there's a little bit of gunk down on those ridges, but that would take absolutely forever to get clean. Timing's all cleaned up, release timing covers, valve covers done. Do need to swap this hose. We did prepare these heater core hoses back here to reseal, but I actually have to go grab some more ultra gray. RIP. So we're not sealing that up yet, but we got it all cleaned up. Knock sensors ready to go in. I'm gonna make a short about that. Yeah, I'm sorry, I kind of misled you guys. We're waiting on this fuel injector stuff. Probably mid this week. By the end of the week, we'll be able to put it together, and I believe our next video may actually be, I don't know, I may record another video just doing all this, getting the engine bay ready, getting it cleaned up, prepped, 415. And after that, we'll actually be finishing the 5-speed swap. Yeah, I maybe just make another video so I can just keep getting stuff done, you know, because when I record and work, it's way better because I don't have to work and then worry about crunching something in to record. Kind of helps the videos come to fruition better. Plus, I need all the practice I can get trying to get out of the old state of mind of how I recorded my videos, of the how-to aspect. There's a lot of other keywords, or so, or this and this, or whatever. Like, I'm trying to stop that. It's a bad habit, and I'm sure you guys might notice. Maybe you don't, because I edit a lot of it out, but now you know. We're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you guys for watching as always. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe, because you know the deal. And let's go in and edit, get you guys a video out today, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.